Hi everyone, I've put this short video clip together just to explain to you what quantitative research is, and the reason I've done this in a video and not directed you to some kind of reading material is because I really struggled to find something that just gives you a brief but really well-rounded description of what quantitative research actually is. Very difficult for some reason to find that. So I'm going to start off by drawing attention to the fact that quantitative research is very closely linked to the post-positivist worldview, which you've just done, which you've just read about. So it shares many of the same characteristics as the post-positivist worldview. In other words, people who see the world in a post-positivist way, if they see knowledge in that way, if they see reality in that way, they tend to do within their disciplines quantitative research. So that's basically the relationship between the two. It's very important to understand that the worldview, the paradigm of post-positivism kind of leads researchers to do research that we call quantitative research. Now you'll find that if you Google for quantitative research, you'll find quite a few sources that will start off telling you that this is the type of research that's all about numbers, that's all about statistical analysis and maths and that type of thing. And that isn't incorrect. So it's not completely wrong to say that, but it doesn't highlight what I think is the most important characteristic of quantitative research. And the most important characteristic actually is not that you're just dealing with numbers, but it's about the fact that you are trying to be completely objective in the way you are doing the research. And that should ring a bell for you. I hope it does, because it relates very closely to what post-positivism is all about, and that is about the existence of an external or objective reality. So there's a reality out there that is independent of my existence as a researcher. My job is just to, at a distance, observe that reality, measure things, analyze it, and come to some kind of decision about what's going on in that reality. That is the whole core feature of post-positivism, and that translates directly into what quantitative research is. And so quantitative is all about objectivity. It's about me not getting too closely involved in the research, but just observing. And typically quantitative research for that reason has to involve observable things, and those are usually things that we can quantify or measure. So in healthcare research, to give an example, it could be, for example, I measure blood pressure on patients, I measure their IQ, I measure their weight, I measure their body temperature, etc., etc. But I'm not involved directly in that quantity. So I'm at a distance, the patients are sitting there, and I'm measuring those things. I'm being objective about it. I'm not trying to influence those things. I'm just measuring them, observing them, and then I might pose certain questions. What, for example, would the core body temperature be of a trauma patient in the middle of winter? I'm not manipulating it, I'm just observing it, and I'm measuring it in an objective way. So that is really what quantitative research is about, fundamentally. Quantitative research does also, especially in medicine, involve experimentation. We'll get on to what experimental research designs are a little bit later on. Certainly not in this learning unit. But it's true to say that not all quantitative research is experimental. Some of it is, quite a bit of it is, but not all of it. Some of it is just descriptive, and it involves just observing and measuring and saying, this is what it looks like. It's not quite as interesting as experimentation, but it's still quantitative research. Yes, it does involve numbers, because typically we're measuring things. As I gave you those examples just now, we might be measuring body temperature, we might be measuring weight, etc. So those are physical quantities that we can put numbers to. We measure them, and then we do something with those measurements. Typically we analyze them, we might run some statistical tests. So it is true that quantitative almost always involves numbers and statistics. It's true, but that is not necessarily the most overridingly important characteristic. That most important characteristic is that whole idea of objectivity, an external reality that I observe and I measure. So that is, in a quite brief summary what quantitative research is all about. In the next learning unit, you're going to look at qualitative research, and you'll see that it's, in many ways, kind of like the exact opposite of quantitative. It involves a completely different worldview, it involves a different paradigm and a completely different way of doing things. But for now, I hope it's been useful for you in understanding quantitative research. Please carry on with the rest of this learning unit and let me know if you've got any questions. Thank you.